There's something uniquely terrifying about being watched, not by something unknown, but by someone who knows you exist, someone who studies your routine, learns your habits, waits for the right moment, because the scariest part about a stalker is that they're already closer than you think. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true unnerving stalker horror stories. And by the end of this video, you might start wondering if someone's been watching you too. This happened a couple years ago when I was working remotely full-time. At first, it sounded like the perfect setup. No commute, flexible schedule, just me, my computer, and my house. But the one downside was my hours. They changed constantly. Some days I'd be done by late afternoon, other nights I'd still be working close to midnight. The night it started, I was working late, around 10:45 p.m. The house was completely quiet, no TV on, no music, nothing. Just the faint hum of my computer and the occasional clicking of my keyboard. My workspace was set up in a small office area just off my bedroom. From my desk, I had a direct line of sight into my room, and beyond that, the doorway that led into the hallway. I had this habit of leaving the bedroom door slightly open. Not wide, just enough to see into the darkness beyond it. I told myself it made the space feel less closed in, less isolated. Looking back, I wish I had kept it shut. That night felt completely normal. I hadn't heard anything unusual. No footsteps, no doors, no reason to be on edge. I was focused on my work, completely absorbed, and then, for no real reason at all, I looked up. It wasn't a reaction. There was no sound, no movement to trigger it, just instinct. My eyes shifted from the screen toward the doorway, and that's when I saw him, a man, standing in the hallway, perfectly still, his face partially hidden in the darkness. But I could see enough to know he was looking directly at me, through the narrow gap of the door. For a second I didn't react. I couldn't, because it didn't make sense. There shouldn't have been anyone there. I was alone. I knew I was alone, and yet, there he was, watching me. Then something changed. His head tilted slightly. Just a small movement, like he was adjusting his view, trying to see me better. And in that moment, our eyes met. Everything in my body locked up. And then, he moved. Not slowly, not cautiously. He vanished, gone from the doorway in an instant. No footsteps, no sound, no indication of where he went. Just gone. I didn't get up right away. I couldn't. I just sat there, staring at the empty doorway, waiting for him to come back, waiting for something else to happen. But nothing did. The house was silent again. Too silent. Eventually, I forced myself to move. I stood up slowly, my legs shaking more than I expected. Every step toward the bedroom felt wrong, like I was walking into something I shouldn't. I reached the door and pushed it open. The hallway was empty, completely dark. I stood there for a few seconds, just listening. Nothing, no movement, no breathing, no sign that anyone had been there at all. I checked the rest of the house, room by room. Every light I turned on made it feel a little less real, like I was trying to convince myself it hadn't happened. But the feeling didn't go away, because deep down, I knew someone had been inside. I called the police. They arrived quickly, checked everything, doors, windows, locks, nothing, no forced entry, no damage, no missing items. They asked me the usual questions, description, height, clothing, but I didn't have answers. It had happened too fast. All I knew was that someone had been standing there, watching me, inside my own house, and then they were gone. After they left, the house felt different, not unsafe, not exactly, just wrong, like something had been there and left something behind. The next few days were the hardest. I couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. Every small sound felt amplified, the creak of the floor, the hum of appliances, even the wind outside. At night, it got worse. I started waking up suddenly, convinced someone was in the room, standing near the bed, watching. I never saw anything, but the feeling stayed. I started locking every door behind me, bedroom, office, even the bathroom. It didn't matter where I was. If I was inside a room, it was locked. About a month passed. Nothing happened, no sounds, no signs, no reason to believe anyone had come back. And slowly, I started convincing myself it was over, that maybe it had been a one-time thing. Until the night I heard the sound downstairs. A dull thud, not loud, but enough. I froze in bed, listening. A few seconds passed, then it happened again. Same sound, same place. My heart was already racing, but I told myself it was nothing. The house settling, pipes, anything. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number, one message. Hello? I stared at it for a long time, because something about it felt connected, like it wasn't random, like it was meant for me. That's when I called the police again. They came, checked everything. Again, nothing, no one, no signs. But this time, I could tell. They didn't believe me, and that made it worse, because now I was alone with it. A few nights later, it happened again. Same message, same number. Hello? And that's when I saw the light, far beyond the backyard, near the trees. A faint glow, small, steady, like a phone screen. It moved slightly, then disappeared. And in that moment, everything clicked. Someone wasn't just inside once. They were still around, watching, waiting. The final night. I woke up suddenly, heart racing. That same nightmare again. Someone standing over me, watching. I opened my eyes. Nothing, but the door was open. I always locked it. Always. I got up slowly. Every step toward the doorway felt wrong. And then, behind me, a whisper. My name, right next to my ear. I turned, and in the corner of the room, he was there, standing still, watching. I ran out of the house, didn't stop until I was outside. When police searched again, they finally found something. The back window. The lock had been tampered with, and the sill, covered in marks. Not just one set, dozens, like someone had been climbing in, over and over again. I moved out within weeks, but even now, there's one thought I can't shake. If I hadn't looked up that first night, how long would he have stood there, watching me, without me ever knowing? This started in a way that didn't feel dangerous at all. If anything, it felt forgettable. At the time, I had a long commute home from work, just over an hour. Most of it was empty highway, with stretches where you wouldn't see another car for minutes at a time. I got into the habit of stopping halfway at a small 24-hour cafe. It wasn't anything special. Old building, dim lighting, same employee behind the counter almost every night. But it broke up the drive, made the whole thing feel less exhausting. One night, I pulled in like usual. The parking lot was empty, not a single car besides mine. That wasn't unusual. I went inside, ordered a coffee, and stood there for a minute waiting. The place felt quieter than usual. Not just empty, but still, like sound didn't carry the same way. I didn't think much of it, got my drink, said thanks, and walked back outside. That's when I noticed her. She was standing in the parking lot, not close, maybe 4 or 5 spaces away from my car. At first I thought she might have been waiting for someone, but there was no car nearby, no phone, no movement at all. She was just standing there, looking directly at me and smiling. Not in a friendly way, not in a normal way. It was too wide, too still, like her face had just stopped there. I slowed down for a second, just enough to register it. Then I gave a quick nod, the kind you give a stranger without thinking, and kept walking. I remember feeling a little uneasy getting into my car, but not scared, just uncomfortable. I told myself she was just weird. That was it, nothing more. But the next time I saw her wasn't at the cafe. It was near my house. A couple days later, I stopped at a grocery store after work. Something quick, milk, snacks, nothing important. As I turned into one of the aisles, I saw her, standing at the far end. Same posture, same stillness, and the same smile. I froze for a second, trying to make sense of it. It didn't feel possible. That cafe was almost an hour away from where I lived. I walked past the aisle slowly, pretending I didn't notice her, but I could feel it. She was watching me. Not just looking, watching. I left the store without finishing what I came for. That's when the feeling started. That quiet, creeping thought in the back of your mind. This isn't coincidence. A few nights later, I went for a walk. It was something I did often. Late, when the neighborhood was quiet. I wasn't thinking about her. At least, not until I saw someone walking on the opposite side of the street. As we got closer, I felt it again. That same unease. And then I recognized her. She slowed her pace as I passed, turned slightly, and watched me. Same expression, same smile. Up close, it felt worse. Her eyes didn't match her face. They looked empty, like she wasn't reacting to anything around her. I didn't say anything, didn't stop, but I checked behind me 3 times on that walk. She never followed, at least not in any way I could prove. The next morning, I found the note. It was taped to my front door. No envelope, just paper, folded once. I took it inside, locked the door, and opened it at the kitchen table. It was long, longer than I expected, and it didn't make sense. Sentences didn't connect. Thoughts jumped from one thing to another. Random phrases repeated in different ways. Some lines felt like quotes, others felt like something personal, but none of it formed a message. It felt like reading someone's thoughts, without context. There was no name, no signature, but I already knew, or at least, I thought I did. Because who else could it be? The idea that she knew where I lived settled in immediately. And once that thought was there, it didn't go away. For the next few days, I changed everything. Checked outside before opening the door, locked windows earlier, kept lights on longer. But nothing happened. No more sightings, no more notes. And slowly, the fear started to fade. Days passed, then weeks. 2 full months went by. And by then, I had convinced myself it was over, that it had just been some strange coincidence. A weird overlap of events that didn't actually mean anything, until the next note appeared. Same place, front door, but this time, it was inside an envelope, neatly placed, on the front, written clearly, "From Alice." That name didn't mean anything to me, but something about seeing it written like that made everything feel more real, more intentional. I locked the door immediately and opened it right there, inside. Just one line. "I hope you like it." I read it twice, then a third time. And that's when the feeling hit, that something was wrong. I looked up, and that's when I saw the box, sitting in the middle of the kitchen table. It hadn't been there before. I was absolutely sure of that. It was wrapped neatly, perfectly centered, like it had been placed there carefully. That's when it fully hit me. Someone had been inside my house, recently. Possibly, still inside. I stopped breathing for a second, just listening. The house was silent, too silent. And then, I saw movement. Not directly, in the reflection, the sliding glass door, and in that reflection, I saw her, standing behind me, partially hidden by the hallway, still, smiling, but not looking at me, looking at the box, like she was waiting for something, waiting for me. I didn't turn around. I didn't say anything. I just started stepping backward, slowly, trying not to make a sound. I was only a few feet from the front door. But the moment I moved too quickly, everything changed. I heard her footsteps. Fast, sprinting toward me. I ran, out the door, into my car. I didn't look back until I was already pulling away, and in the reflection of my rearview mirror, I saw her, standing in the doorway, still smiling. When police arrived, she was gone, and so was the box. No signs of entry, no fingerprints, nothing, just like before. But this time, I knew for certain. She hadn't just been watching me, she had been inside, close enough to stand behind me, without me even knowing. And the worst part is, I still don't know what was in that box, or what would have happened if I had opened it. I used to work overnight shifts at a small grocery store in a quiet town, the kind of place where nothing ever really happens. Population maybe a couple thousand. Everyone knows everyone. Or at least, that's what I thought. I took the job mostly because a few of my friends worked there, but they were all on day shifts. The only position available for me was overnight. So most nights I worked with people I didn't really know. Older employees, quiet types, people who kept to themselves. One of them was a guy named Devin. He was in his late 20s, tall, thin, always looked exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't talk much. When he did, it was soft, flat, like there was no real emotion behind it. At first, I didn't think much of him. We worked different sections of the store, barely interacted, just the occasional hey or small talk. For the first month or so, everything was normal, until one night, on my way home. It was around 4:15 in the morning. Dark roads, no traffic, just me driving through empty streets. About halfway home, I noticed headlights behind me, a black pickup truck. Again, nothing unusual, plenty of trucks in that town. But after a few minutes, I realized something. Every turn I made, it made left, right, another right, still there. At that point, I told myself I was overthinking. It was a small town. There weren't many routes anyway. When I finally turned into my neighborhood, it was still behind me. That's when my chest tightened a little. But as I pulled into my driveway, the truck kept going. Didn't slow down, didn't stop, just continued down the street. I sat in my car for a moment, watching the empty road. Then I went inside, tried to forget about it. I showered, got into bed, turned on the TV. About an hour later, I got up to close the blinds, and that's when I saw it, the truck. Parked outside my house, no headlights, no engine sound, just sitting there. I couldn't see inside. For a moment I just stood there, trying to make sense of it. But again, I convinced myself it was nothing. Townhouses, neighbors, people I didn't recognize. I shut the blinds, went to sleep. When I woke up, the truck was gone, and for the rest of the day, everything felt normal. But that uneasy feeling didn't fully leave. That night I went back to work. Same routine, same quiet store, same empty aisles. About an hour into my shift, I turned into one of the aisles and saw him, Devin, standing at the far end, completely still, watching me. I hadn't heard him approach, had no idea how long he'd been there. When I made eye contact with him, he started walking toward me, slow, uncertain, like he wasn't even sure why he came over. He smiled, but it didn't feel natural. Then he started talking. Small talk, about the job, about hours, and nothing important, but the way he spoke felt off, like he was forcing the conversation, trying to keep me there. And when the conversation ended, he didn't leave right away. He just stood there, looking at me, for a second too long, then walked away. That was the first time I felt genuinely uncomfortable around him. After that, it got worse. Night after night, I'd catch him watching me from across the store, at the end of aisles, in reflections of freezer doors. Sometimes I wouldn't even see him at first. I'd just feel it, that feeling that someone was looking at you, and when I turned, he'd be there, not moving, just watching. He started coming up to me more often, conversations that went nowhere, and every time they ended the same way, him standing there, staring, until I forced myself to walk away. One night, I had enough. I clocked out early, didn't tell anyone, just wanted to leave. When I stepped into the parking lot, I saw it. A black pickup truck, parked a few spaces from my car. Same color, same shape. My stomach dropped. I didn't need confirmation. I already knew. I got into my car quickly and left. The whole drive home, I kept checking my mirrors, but no one followed. When I got home, everything seemed normal, but I stayed near the window for a while, waiting, watching. The truck never came. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't, because now I wasn't sure when it would show up. The next night, I got to work early, and his truck was already there. That alone felt wrong. He was never early. I went inside, but he wasn't there. No sign of him. A few minutes later, I got a text from the manager. He had called off. I ran to the front window. The truck was gone. That's when everything stopped feeling like coincidence. That night, I didn't feel safe. I kept expecting him to appear at the end of an aisle, watching me again. But he didn't. Around 3 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I clocked out early. Again, the parking lot was empty. I drove home as fast as I could. When I got there, everything looked normal. No truck, no movement. I went inside, and immediately, something felt wrong. The house was too dark. I always left the hallway light on. Always. But now, everything was black. I didn't panic right away. I walked a few steps in, looked down the hallway. Then I turned the light on. It worked. I turned it off, then back on, trying to understand. And then, I heard it. Footsteps, running, fast, from the back of the house, straight to the door. And then, the back door slammed open. I didn't move. I didn't look. I just stood there, frozen, for maybe 10 seconds. Then I ran upstairs and called the police. They searched everything, but like every other time, nothing. No evidence, no proof. But I knew, because all the small things finally made sense together. The truck, the watching, the timing. He knew my schedule. He knew when I'd be home. And that night, I think I came home earlier than he expected. And he panicked, left before I could see him. The next morning, I quit, and so did he. Same day, that was enough for me. I never saw him again, never saw the truck again, but sometimes, late at night, I think about that moment, standing in my house, in the dark, and I wonder how long he had been inside before I got home. Stalkers don't always break in. They don't always attack. Sometimes they just watch, learn, wait. And the most terrifying part is, you might never know how close they really were.